guys, this is Val from valkayink, and today we are reviewing another One Piece figure. This time, this is from the SCultures line. This is the 5th set, Volume 1 of Urouge, or Urouge. I've heard both versions being said. Here is a close-up of the box. This is the first out of this one. The Volume 2 is the other figure that you could get from this SCultures release, which was the praying version, which I also love, but I decided to go with this one just because they did something really unique with this figure and I want to talk about it. So let's break him out of this box. Here is the figure straight out of the box and put together. I'm just going to turn him for you guys so you can see all of the edges. Now, this figure is in a really unique pose. You don't get too many figures in a leaning or a kneeling pose like this. So it's pretty unique on its own like that. I really love how they defined his muscles and his arms. He's supposed to be beefy and buff. That is the point. Anyway, the thing that's so interesting about this figure in particular is the base. He is basically going to stay on your shelf like this, and that is because the typical base actually sits up here and he will hold it in his arm like he is carrying his own base. I really love when Banpresto artists do this. They will mess with figures and they will mess with the concept of what bases should be and where they should be. They did this with the Poly figure that I haven't reviewed yet, but they'll do this every once in a while and I think it's so unique. Anyway, here is what it looks like. And he's holding it so it can actually be on a shelf like this. Now, as much as I appreciate the way they display bases and this really cool concept, displaying this guy is going to be very difficult. I feel like your best bet when displaying this guy, again, he's hunched forward, he is leaning down, his face is pointing down, would be to have him higher up on a shelf. That way you can actually see him. I also think it would be really interesting to have this Banpresto base kind of advertising the rest of your Banpresto figures if you have more out of the SCultures line. So he would definitely need to be up on a riser, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Again, if you're just a fan of this character, it's just a really solid character. You can display him without the base being held, but that might be a little bit difficult. It does have a notch in the top, so you would notice that there is something missing on this. You might be able to fill it in with something else if you want him to be holding, let's say, a pillar or something you can get from a different figure set. But, you know, it's really up to you how to display this guy. One thing I really love is his face. He is supposed to be the Mad Monk, and he is a very different looking One Piece character, and that's what I really like about him. He also has all of this fabric that has these really nice folds. The necklace is actually floating here, so that's a really good detail. I love that they included his tattoos. Those are really neat. And of course we do have his sandals. Monks generally don't have exciting footwear, but it's really interesting what they did with this figure. The other thing to comment on are these wings of his. They're just very plain and basic. The other Urouge figure has very detailed feather-like wings that actually fall and the feathers are in different directions. So if that's something that is really a concern for you, I might go for Volume 2 for you. But again, I do love what they did with him being able to hold his base. It's just such an interesting concept, and I really love seeing a figure that at least tries to do something different. I had to pull my camera really far back, but it is really cool to see a figure like manhandle his own base. I mean, it's pretty neat. I love this concept. They might have implicated or done something a little different. They might have been able to do this a little better, not sure how, but I really like that you can see the logo. It's really neat, and it's nice how stable and sturdy he is, and I can really move him, and that base is really sturdy too. So those are just some things to consider with this figure. I'm gonna get in a few more detail shots so you guys can see Urouge and all of his splendor. Let's do that right now. Guys, here are some final thoughts of mine on this figure. I love the pose. I love the concept. I really like that we got figures of a very cool supernova out of One Piece. I'm not such a fan of how small the figure actually is, especially from the SCultures big line. And I'm not really a fan of how forward facing he is. He is going to be a bit of a beast to display. I'll have to figure something out. I'll let you guys know in an update. And honestly, it is a little distracting that you can see the peg on the base. It would be nicer if there was just a curve it rested in. Those are just some little thoughts, things that I want to point out to you guys in case you are considering this figure. But now that I have it in my hands, I do love it. I do want figures of all of the supernovas. I think they're really cool. And I hope this has been at least a little bit entertaining for you guys. So anyway, that is it for this one. Hi to all my subscribers, you guys rock, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys!